The vast observation deck of the Krex Empire's flagship Eternal Dawn fell silent as Supreme Commander Vexthor studied the holographic projection of Earth. His scaled fingers traced the outline of the blue planet, while his inner eyelids narrowed in contemplation. After conquering 17 civilizations across 3 galactic arms, the Krex had developed a precise formula for invasion. Yet something about this primitive world made his dorsal spines twitch with unease. "General Ixel, report," he commanded, his dual-tone voice echoing through the chamber. The younger Krex officer stepped forward, her battle armor gleaming under the starlight streaming through the transparent ceiling. "Supreme Commander, our deep space probes confirm the humans possess minimal orbital defenses. Their military technology appears to be centuries behind ours. They still rely on chemical propulsion for their spacecraft, and their most advanced weapons use primitive nuclear fission." Vexthor's facial ridges contracted in a gesture of skepticism. "And their global communication networks, open and unencrypted, Supreme Commander. We've been monitoring their entertainment broadcasts, military channels, and governmental frequencies. They appear to be divided into nation-states, often in conflict with each other. Their largest space station can house only a handful of their kind." The Supreme Commander turned to face the gathered War Council. "It seems almost too perfect, doesn't it? A species that has mastered nuclear physics but hasn't developed basic energy shielding. A civilization advanced enough for space travel but lacking any meaningful defensive capabilities." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that didn't exist on any public record, Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched a similar holographic display. But unlike the Krex's projection, hers showed the positions of every ship in the approaching alien fleet. The quantum sensors hidden throughout the solar system had been tracking them for months. "They're following the exact pattern we predicted," she said to the assembled Joint Chiefs of Staff. "The Krex always send their scout ships first, then position their fleet beyond the orbit of the outermost planet before launching their primary assault." General Michael Chen, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, leaned forward in his chair. "And they're still buying our facade. The outdated satellites, the deliberate leak of our classified military frequencies." Belina allowed herself a small smile. "Completely. Our quantum camouflage network is holding. They can't detect anything beyond what we want them to see. The passive shield is working exactly as designed." The passive shield had been humanity's greatest secret for the past 30 years. After recovering a crashed alien scout ship in 2094, Earth's governments had done something unprecedented. They'd united in secret while maintaining a public facade of division. The world's best scientists had reverse-engineered the alien technology, but instead of using it to advance their civilian infrastructure, they'd done something the Krex would never expect. They'd hidden their progress. Every new technological breakthrough was carefully concealed behind a veneer of outdated technology. Quantum computers were disguised as traditional servers. Advanced fusion reactors were hidden underground while fossil fuel plants continued to operate above. Orbital defense platforms were masked as communications satellites. In his private chamber aboard the Eternal Dawn, Supreme Commander Vexthor reviewed the invasion plans. The Krex Empire had never failed to conquer a world, and their strategy was flawless. First, disable the primitive planetary defenses. Then, destroy their military capabilities. Finally, accept their inevitable surrender. But as he studied the holographic tactical display, that nagging feeling of unease returned. In all his years of conquest, he'd never encountered a species that had mastered the atom but hadn't developed basic energy shields. It defied the natural progression of technological advancement. "Computer," he commanded, "display all long-range scans of Earth's dark side." The hologram shifted, showing the nighttime hemisphere of the planet. Cities glowed in expected patterns. Power grids formed visible networks across continents. Everything appeared normal, perhaps too normal. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Rodriguez monitored the Krex's scan attempts. "They're getting suspicious," she reported. "They're running deeper scans of our power signatures." General Chen nodded. "Good. Let them look. Every system is running behind quantum camouflage. They'll see exactly what they expect to see. A primitive civilization ripe for conquest. Elena pulled up another display, this one showing the status of Earth's true defense network. Thousands of quantum-shielded satellites and defense platforms orbited silently, invisible to conventional sensors. Buried beneath the surface of Mars, automated factories had been producing advanced weaponry for decades. And in hidden bases across Earth, pilots trained on simulators that perfectly replicated the Krex's combat tactics. How long until they make their move? General Chen asked. Elena studied the tactical display. Based on their previous invasion patterns, they'll launch their first strike within 48 hours. They always attack at what they perceive to be their target's weakest moment. Then we'll be ready to show them humanity's greatest strength, Chen said, his voice firm. Our ability to deceive, adapt, and overcome. Launch the final preparations. When the Krex attack, they'll learn that humanity hasn't been hiding in fear. We've been hiding in plain sight, preparing for this moment. As the Earth continued its peaceful rotation below, two civilizations prepared for battle. One believing they faced an easy conquest, the other knowing they faced their greatest test. The Krex Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity and the true meaning of the art of deception. The first shot of the Krex invasion wasn't a plasma beam or a kinetic strike. It was a virus. Designed to infiltrate Earth's supposedly primitive computer networks, the digital weapon streamed from thousands of points across the alien fleet. Supreme Commander Vexthor watched with satisfaction as the attack commenced, his command center displaying real-time visualizations of the cyber assault. Status report, he demanded, expecting to hear of Earth's communications infrastructure crumbling. Sir, his chief information officer responded, confusion evident in his tone. The virus. It's encountering no resistance. It's spreading through their networks exactly as planned. But... He paused, mandibles clicking in agitation. But what? But nothing is happening. Their systems aren't failing. There's no chaos, no disruption. It's as if the officer's scales paled. It's as if the virus is spreading through empty space. Deep within the quantum-shielded command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile as she watched the Krex virus harmlessly dissipate through their decoy network. The fake internet they'd constructed was a masterpiece of deception, a hollow shell that perfectly mimicked the behavior of Earth's supposed technological level while hiding their true communications infrastructure. They took the bait, she announced to General Chen. The Krex cyber attack is proceeding exactly as predicted. Their virus is spreading through our dummy networks, while our quantum mesh remains untouched. Chen nodded grimly. Then it's time. Initialize Project Echo. Elena's fingers danced across her holographic interface, sending coded quantum signals to Earth's hidden defense grid. Across the solar system, dormant systems began to awaken. Aboard the Eternal Dawn, alarms suddenly blared. Supreme Commander, a sensor officer shouted, we're detecting energy signatures. Everywhere. Vexthor rushed to the main display, his heart's pounding as he watched impossible data flood his screens. All across Earth orbit, ships were appearing from nowhere. Not the primitive chemical rockets they'd expected, but sleek vessels of obvious advanced design. Behind Mars, massive construction facilities shimmered into view as their quantum camouflage dissolved. Impossible, he whispered. Their level of technology. They couldn't have hidden this. But they had. For decades, humanity had maintained the greatest deception in their history. While the world's governments publicly squabbled over petty resources, they had secretly united to prepare for this very moment. The recovered alien technology hadn't just been studied. It had been improved upon. Dr. Rodriguez watched as Earth's true defensive capabilities revealed themselves. The quantum shield network, far more advanced than anything the Krex possessed, rippled visible for the first time in 30 years. Thousands of orbital platforms, each armed with weapons reverse-engineered from that first crashed scout ship, powered up their systems. "Send the message," General Chen commanded. Elena nodded and activated the quantum communications array. Across every frequency the Krex could monitor, in perfect Krex language, a single message broadcast. "You were expected." The response from the Krex fleet was immediate and predictable. They opened fire. Plasma beams and kinetic rounds streaked toward Earth's newly revealed defenses. But humanity had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. The quantum shields didn't just stop the Krex weapons, they absorbed them. Each impact made the shields stronger, their energy recycling capabilities far beyond what the Krex had thought possible. Earth's orbital defense platforms responded with weapons that shouldn't have existed for centuries in normal technological progression. How? Vexthor demanded as the first wave of his fleet's attacks proved useless. How could they have advanced so far without us detecting it? The answer came in the form of a direct transmission from the underground command center. Dr. Rodriguez's hologram appeared on the Eternal Dawn's bridge, her expression calm but resolute. "You taught us well, Supreme Commander. We learned from every world you conquered. Every civilization you destroyed transmitted data about your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. That scout ship you lost 30 years ago. It wasn't an accident. We drew it here." The revelation hit Vexthor like a physical blow. The Krex Empire's greatest strength, their pattern of systematic conquest, had become their weakness. Every invasion had been monitored, studied, and planned for. General Chen's hologram appeared next to Elena's. "Your empire's methodology made you predictable. While you watched our surface, counted our outdated satellites, and monitored our fake communications, we built something you never expected. A defense you couldn't see coming." In orbit, the battle was already turning. Krex ships, designed to fight enemies of known technological levels, found themselves facing weapons they'd never encountered. Humanity's quantum-based technology operated on principles the Krex had never mastered, their adherence to traditional development paths having become a blind spot in their tactical thinking. "You have two choices, Supreme Commander," General Chen continued. "Retreat and inform your empire that Earth is not to be trifled with, or continue this attack and lose your fleet. Either way, humanity's message will be clear: we are not your prey. We have never been your prey. We were the hunters, waiting patiently for you to spring our trap." As his ships began reporting critical failures across the fleet, Vexthor realized the humans had achieved something no other species had managed in the history of the Krex Empire. They had completely outmaneuvered them before the battle had even begun. The silent defense had worked perfectly. Humanity had turned their greatest perceived weakness, their seemingly primitive technology, into their greatest strength. And as the Krex fleet began to withdraw, the true scale of humanity's deception became clear. They hadn't just been hiding their capabilities. They had been orchestrating this moment for decades. Supreme Commander Vexthor had never faced defeat in his 3 centuries of military service. Yet as he watched his fleet regroup beyond Mars' orbit, he knew the Krex Empire faced something unprecedented. The initial retreat had cost him a third of his ships, not from destruction but from systems failure. Human quantum weapons had simply shut them down, leaving them dead in space. "The High Command has responded to our distress signal," General Ixel reported, her usual confidence shaken. "They're dispatching the first strike fleet. 8,000 ships, Supreme Commander." Vexthor's facial ridges tightened. They still don't understand. More ships won't matter if we can't counter their quantum technology. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Dr. Rodriguez and General Chen watched the Krex reinforcements approach through their quantum sensor network. But unlike the aliens' grim determination, the human leaders shared knowing looks. "They're following the contingency we predicted," Elena said, pulling up a tactical display. "The Krex military doctrine hasn't changed in 500 years. When faced with unexpected resistance, they always respond with overwhelming force." Chen nodded. "And that's exactly why Operation Checkmate will work. Signal all commands. Commence Phase 2. Across the solar system, Humanity's hidden installations activated their second layer of defenses. The quantum shields that had protected Earth now began to project false sensor readings throughout space. To the approaching Krex fleet, the battlefield appeared empty except for Earth's revealed forces. But scattered throughout the void were thousands of autonomous combat drones, each equipped with technology that didn't just match the Krex. It surpassed them. "Launch the solar dragons," Chen commanded. Alina's fingers danced across her console, sending the activation codes. Deep within the sun's chromosphere, where no Krex sensor could penetrate, humanity's most ambitious weapons platforms awakened. Massive solar collection arrays, hidden for years within the star's outer layers, began channeling the sun's energy into quantum containment fields. Aboard the Eternal Dawn, Vexthor was planning his counterattack when space itself seemed to ignite. Streams of solar plasma, perfectly contained and directed, lashed out from the sun. But unlike natural solar flares, these moved with purpose and precision. "Impossible," Ixel gasped. "They've weaponized their star." The solar dragons lived up to their name. Artificial plasma constructs, shaped like serpentine creatures of human mythology, twisted through space. Their quantum containment fields allowed them to maintain cohesion across vast distances, something the Krex had long thought impossible. Where they touched Krex ships, shields meant to withstand nuclear attacks melted away. But humanity's true tactical innovation wasn't in their weapons, it was in their strategy. As the Krex fleet attempted to regroup and respond to the solar dragons, the quantum sensor ghosts suddenly became real. Drone ships materialized from what had appeared to be empty space, their positions perfectly calculated to take advantage of the chaos. Multiple quantum signatures detected. A Krex sensor officer shouted, "They're everywhere." The human drones moved with an efficiency no organic pilot could match. Their quantum processors, unconstrained by traditional computing limitations, made tactical decisions in microseconds. They didn't just target the Krex ship's weapons or shields. They attacked with precise electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the aliens' neural interfaces with their own technology. Dr. Rodriguez watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and solemnity. "We studied every aspect of Krex biology from that crashed scout ship," she explained to the assembled military leaders. "Their neural interface technology is impressive, but it's based on principles we surpassed years ago." They never considered that their own command and control systems could be turned against them. The Krex First Strike Fleet found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions. The solar dragons herded them into killing zones where quantum-shifted drones waited. When they tried to retreat, they found their neural interfaces compromised, their ships responding to phantom commands. Vexthor watched his tactical display dissolve into chaos. The humans weren't just winning. They were rewriting the rules of space combat. Every Krex tactic, every strategy refined over centuries of conquest, was being countered before they could execute it. "They're not just predicting our moves," he realized aloud. "They're predicting our predictions." He was right. Humanity had spent decades not just preparing weapons and defenses, but running millions of combat simulations. They had mapped every possible Krex response, every tactical doctrine, every strategic impulse. The quantum computers controlling Earth's automated defenses weren't just reacting to the battle. They were executing plans within plans, each response calculated years in advance. "Send the signal," General Chen ordered. "Give them one last chance to retreat." The message that reached the Krex fleet was simple. "Your empire's tactical doctrine is 5 centuries old. We've had 30 years to plan this battle. How many ships are you willing to lose before you accept that humanity is beyond your ability to conquer?" As if to emphasize the point, another solar dragon emerged from the sun's corona, its plasma form twisting through space like a living thing. The quantum drones shifted position again, their formation revealing yet another layer of tactical depth that the Krex computers couldn't parse. Vexthor, watching his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by an enemy that seemed to exist everywhere and nowhere, made the first wise decision of the battle. "Signal the retreat," he ordered. "All ships, full withdrawal. We need to warn the Empire. The humans aren't just ready for us. They've been waiting for us, and they've surpassed us." As the Krex fleet began its withdrawal, Dr. Rodriguez and General Chen watched the solar dragons return to their solar sanctuary. The quantum drones shifted back into their hidden configurations, and Earth's defenses resumed their vigilant watch. "They'll be back," Chen said quietly. The Lina nodded. "Yes, but not as conquerors. They'll return as diplomats. The Krex Empire is about to learn something they've never had to face before: the need to negotiate with equals." Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the holographic representation of the Krex Empire's central command network, her eyes reflecting the complex web of quantum data streams. After their retreat from Earth, the Krex had strengthened their cybersecurity, believing their systems impregnable. They hadn't realized that humanity had already been inside their networks for decades. "Begin Operation Looking Glass," she commanded. The quantum AI systems surrounding her hummed to life, their processors interfacing directly with the stolen Krex neural technology they'd refined over 30 years. Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring from her station, watched as the quantum infiltration began. "The Krex still haven't detected the backdoors we planted in their communication protocols. Their entire empire runs on standardized systems. It's their greatest vulnerability." The plan was audacious. Instead of launching another military confrontation, humanity would force the Krex to confront an uncomfortable truth: their technological superiority, the foundation of their empire, was an illusion. Deep within the Krex imperial palace on their homeworld, Nexus Prime, the first signs of the human infiltration appeared. Security systems began reporting impossible anomalies. Quantum ghosts appeared in their networks, each one carrying fragments of a message that slowly assembled itself in their most secure databases. The message was simple: your empire wasn't built on superiority, it was built on stagnation. As the Krex cybersecurity teams scrambled to respond, Admiral Chen's quantum AI systems began their real work. They didn't destroy or corrupt, they revealed. Centuries of classified data began appearing on public Krex networks. The truth about their technological development, how they had stopped innovating centuries ago, relying instead on overwhelming force and standardized conquest protocols. "They're trying to lock us out," Dr. Rodriguez reported, watching the Krex response. "But they can't. Their security protocols are based on encryption methods we broke 20 years ago." Admiral Chen nodded, her expression stern but satisfied. "Deploy the archive." The archive was humanity's masterstroke, a comprehensive database of every technological advancement they'd achieved by thinking beyond the Krex Empire's rigid development protocols. Quantum computing that didn't rely on neural interfaces, energy systems that drew power from subspace rather than matter-antimatter reactions, faster than light travel that didn't require massive energy expenditure. Throughout the Krex Empire, their most talented scientists and engineers began receiving detailed technical documents, not as a threat or a boast, but as an invitation. The humans were showing them what was possible when you thought beyond established paradigms. In the Imperial Palace, Supreme Archon-Vexcor, leader of the Krex Empire, watched in growing alarm as his empire's technological foundations were not destroyed, but questioned. The humans weren't attacking them. They were teaching them. "How do we stop this?" he demanded of his Cybersecurity Council. The response came not from his advisors, but from a quantum hologram that materialized in the center of the chamber. Admiral Chen's image stood before them, as real as if she were physically present. "You don't stop it, Supreme Archon," she said calmly. "You learn from it. Your empire has spent centuries conquering other species because you believed technological superiority gave you the right. We're showing you that true superiority comes from innovation, not domination." The quantum hologram began displaying technical specifications that made the Krex scientists' eyes widen. Designs for engines that could cross galaxies with minimal energy consumption. Medical technology that could regenerate entire organs without genetic manipulation. communication systems that operated outside normal spacetime. "This is impossible," one of the Krex scientists whispered. "These advances, they break every rule of technological progression we know." "Exactly," Admiral Chen's hologram replied. "That's what happens when you stop following rules and start asking questions. Your empire's greatest weakness isn't your technology. It's your belief that you've reached the peak of advancement." Throughout the Krex Empire, a revolution of thought was beginning. Young scientists and engineers, seeing the human innovations, began questioning centuries of doctrine. Military strategists, studying the Battle of Saul, started recognizing the flaws in their standardized tactics. Supreme Archon Vexcor, watching his empire's certainties crumble, made a decision that would reshape galactic history. "You could have used this knowledge to destroy us," he said to Chen's hologram. "Destruction is easy," she responded. "Creation is harder. We're offering you a choice. Continue believing in your superiority and face defeat, or accept that the universe is larger than your empire's understanding of it." Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring the quantum streams from Earth, saw the change rippling through the Krex networks. Their rigid protocols were adapting, evolving. The empire that had spent centuries enforcing stagnation was beginning to remember how to grow. "They're responding," she reported to Admiral Chen. "Their quantum signatures are shifting. They're learning." Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. The gambit had worked. Humanity had achieved something unprecedented. They had conquered an empire not through force, but through knowledge. The Krex wouldn't be coming to Earth as invaders again. They would come as students, ready to learn what humanity had spent decades preparing to teach them. "Send the final protocol," Chen ordered. Across the Krex networks, one last message appeared. "The universe is too vast for any species to stop growing. Let us show you how much further we can all go." 5 years after the failed invasion of Earth, the Sol system had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a proving ground for innovation. Where Krex warships had once threatened destruction, research vessels now orbited, their crews composed of both humans and Krex working side by side. Supreme Commander Vexthor, now serving as the Krex Empire's chief of scientific advancement, stood aboard the observation deck of the joint Human-Krex research station, Horizon. Beside him, Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted the quantum display showing their latest project, a revolutionary form of faster-than-light travel that bent the rules of physics in ways the Krex had never imagined possible. "If you had told me 5 years ago that I would be working alongside humans to rewrite everything we thought we knew about space travel," Vexthor mused, his scales shifting in what humans had learned was amusement, "I would have questioned your sanity." Elena smiled. "And if you had told me 30 years ago, when we found that crashed scout ship, that we would end up teaching the Krex Empire rather than fighting them, I might have said the same thing." The transformation of the Krex Empire had been remarkable. Once they abandoned their rigid adherence to technological orthodoxy, their natural intelligence and curiosity had flourished. The empire that had spent centuries conquering was now leading an unprecedented age of discovery. Admiral Sarah Chen, watching from her office in the newly established Galactic Coalition headquarters, reviewed the latest reports. Across former Krex territory, joint research teams were making breakthroughs in everything from medicine to environmental restoration. The quantum computing networks that had once hidden Earth's advancement now connected thousands of worlds, sharing knowledge at speeds that would have seemed impossible just years ago. "We have a priority message from the Nexus Prime Academy," her AI assistant reported. The holographic display showed a group of young Krex scientists, their scales bright with excitement. Admiral Chen, the lead researcher, spoke, mandibles clicking in joy. "We've done it. Using the principles of human quantum mechanics combined with traditional Krex energy manipulation, we've created the first stable micro-universe. The applications for energy production and space exploration are, well, they're beyond anything we imagined possible." Chen shared their excitement. This was what humanity had hoped for, not just teaching the Krex, but inspiring them to push beyond what either species could achieve alone. In the solar forge orbiting Mercury, where the solar dragons had once been born, human and Krex engineers worked together to harness the power of stars themselves. The quantum containment fields that had once been weapons now served to create new forms of matter, opening up possibilities that neither civilization had dreamed of before the war. "It's remarkable," Vex Thor said, turning to Elena as they walked through the research station's quantum labs. "For centuries, we thought advancement meant following a predetermined path. We never considered that true progress might mean questioning the path itself." Elena nodded, remembering the decades of preparation that had led to this moment. "That's always been humanity's greatest strength. We don't just ask how something works. We ask why not try something completely different." In the deepest part of the station, behind quantum security fields that melded human and Krex technology, the most ambitious project yet was taking shape. The Nexus Initiative, as it was called, aimed to create a new form of space-time manipulation that would allow instant travel between any 2 points in the universe. The old Krex Empire would have seen this technology as a weapon, Vex Thor observed, watching the quantum equations spiral through the holographic display. A way to strike anywhere, at any time. "And now?" Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. "Now we see it as it truly is. A bridge. A way to connect species across the galaxy, to share knowledge and culture in ways we never thought possible." In the 5 years since the failed invasion, humanity had proven that their greatest victory hadn't been in defeating the Krex. It had been in showing them a better way forward. The empire that had once sought to conquer through force now led the galaxy in scientific discovery and cultural exchange. Admiral Chen, reviewing the latest proposals for joint human-Krex expeditions to unexplored galaxies, reflected on how far they had come. The quantum deception that had protected Earth had evolved into a network of shared knowledge that was transforming the galaxy. The solar dragons, once weapons of war, now helped terraform dead worlds into garden paradises. "We have a new contact," her AI reported suddenly. "Unknown species, approaching from the galactic core. Their technology. It's different from anything we've seen before." Chen smiled, remembering a time when such news would have brought fear. Now it brought only excitement and curiosity. "Send them our standard greeting. Let them know that Earth and the Krex Empire welcome the opportunity to learn and grow together." As the message was transmitted, she thought about how far they had come. Humanity had prepared for war but achieved peace. They had planned for conquest but achieved cooperation. And most importantly, they had shown that the true measure of a civilization wasn't its ability to destroy, but its willingness to evolve. In the observation deck of the Horizon Station, Vex Thor and Elena watched as teams of human and Krex scientists prepared for humanity's greatest export. Not technology or weapons, but a way of thinking that challenged everything that seemed impossible. "What do you think the next 30 years will bring?" Vex Thor asked. Elena's eyes sparkled with the same curiosity that had driven humanity to hide, prepare, and ultimately transcend. "That's the best part," she replied. "We get to find out together."